The earliest known inhabitants of Ukraine were the Scythians, a group of Iranian-speaking nomads who dominated the region from around the 8th century BCE. They were known for their skills in horseback riding and archery. The Sarmatians, another Iranian-speaking people, followed them and became dominant in the region around the 3rd century BC. These tribes frequently engaged in conflicts with each other and other neighboring peoples, including the Greeks, who had established colonies along the Black Sea coast by the 3rd century CE. The Slavic tribes began to settle in Ukraine. Over time, these tribes developed agricultural communities and formed the basis of what would become the Eastern Slavic peoples. The Slavic tribes often fought against various nomadic groups, such as the Huns and Avars, who invaded from the east. Kievan Rus was a federation of Slavic tribes under the rule of the Varangians, Vikings, who founded Kiev in the 9th century. It became one of the most powerful states in Eastern Europe. The Rus frequently engaged in wars against neighboring states, including the Byzantine Empire, the Khazars, and various Turkic tribes. Notable conflicts include the Rus-Byzantine Wars, with major battles occurring in the 10th and 11th centuries. The Mongol invasion in the 13th century led to the fragmentation and decline of Kievan Rus. Kiev was sacked in 1240, marking the end of its status as a major power. After the decline of Kievan Rus, much of Ukrainian territory fell under the control of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and later, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. This period saw numerous conflicts, including wars with the Teutonic Knights, the Crimean Tatars, and the Ottoman Empire. Ukrainian Cossacks, a semi-nomadic warrior group, began to rise in prominence during this time and played a key role in regional conflicts. The Khmelnytsky Uprising, 1648 to 1657, was a significant Cossack rebellion against Polish rule, which eventually led to the establishment of a Cossack hetmanate in Ukraine under the suzerainty of the Tsardom of Russia. Following the Treaty of Pereyaslav in 1654, the eastern part of Ukraine gradually came under Russian control. By the late 18th century, Ukraine was divided between the Russian Empire, East and Central Ukraine, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Western Ukraine. During this period, Ukrainians participated in several wars, including the Russo-Turkish Wars, which saw the Russian Empire expand its territory at the expense of the Ottoman Empire. After the collapse of the Russian and Austro-Hungarian empires following World War I, Ukraine declared independence. However, the country was immediately embroiled in a series of conflicts involving the Red Army Bolsheviks, the White Army, anti-Bolshevik forces, Polish forces, and various nationalist movements. The Ukrainian War of Independence saw several battles and a short-lived establishment of multiple Ukrainian states. Eventually, most of Ukraine was incorporated into the Soviet Union as the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, while western parts were divided between Poland, Romania, and Czechoslovakia. Ukraine was a major battleground during World War II, suffering immense devastation and loss of life. The territory was initially divided between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union following the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. After Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, much of Ukraine was occupied by Nazi forces. The occupation was marked by mass atrocities, including the Holocaust and the genocide of Ukrainian Jews, as well as brutal repression of resistance movements. The Red Army eventually recaptured Ukraine in 1944, but the war left deep scars on the country. After World War II, Ukraine remained part of the Soviet Union. During this period, Ukraine was largely stable, though it faced several crises, including the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Ukraine saw significant industrial and agricultural development under Soviet rule, but also experienced harsh political repression, especially under Stalin's regime. Ukraine declared independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, following a failed coup attempt in Moscow and the collapse of Soviet power. The country has since faced several internal and external conflicts, including political crises, the 2014 Euromaidan protests, and subsequent annexation of Crimea by Russia. The Donbass War, 2014 present asterisk. Following the annexation of Crimea, pro-Russian separatists in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk declared independence, leading to an ongoing conflict with Ukrainian government forces. This conflict has resulted in thousands of deaths and significant destruction in the region. The 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine asterisk. In February 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, escalating the conflict significantly. This invasion has led to widespread destruction, a humanitarian crisis, and increased international involvement, with many countries providing support to Ukraine and imposing sanctions on Russia. The war continues to this day, with Ukraine receiving substantial military aid and humanitarian assistance from Western allies. The Ukraine's history is marked by a series of conflicts and wars, reflecting its strategic location and cultural significance. From ancient times through modern history, Ukraine has been a battleground for empires and a cradle of resistance and resilience. The current conflict with Russia continues this turbulent legacy, underscoring the ongoing struggle for sovereignty and self-determination.